you? Welcome back to me in my living room. Gen Con is 2 weeks from now, a big cosplay and tabletop gaming, live action gaming convention that I used to go to every year when I was a teenager. Actually, this is like a bit of a really fun full circle moment for me. I've been posting videos on this channel for like a little over 10 years now, and actually the first video that I ever posted on this channel was my vlog from Gen Con in 2015, but it's been a while. I think the last time that I attended with a ticket was probably 2018 or 19. I'm just really excited to be getting to go back. Of course, I really want to make a cosplay to wear. That's always been one of the things that I would get most excited about. I did make myself several costumes when I was younger to wear. Of course, I didn't really have any of the same sewing and craftsmanship skills that I have now, but I know how to sew now. And when we decided we were going to be going to Gen Con this year, that was like one of the first things I was thinking of, was like, so many more possibilities have opened up to me of what I could make. So basically, what I ended up landing on is I wanted to make a costume for Astrid from How to Train Your Dragon. I just think her character and her character design is so cool. I really like that there are armor details to the costume without it being entirely armor. I really have always thought it was so cool watching people make like Warbler armor suits, putting a lot of like detail into trying to make it resemble a material that it's not. I feel like there's such like an eye and attention to detail that goes into creating armor that's really cool. So I was excited to pick a character who had details to her costume that have those elements. I would be creating the shoulder pads armor that she has, and then some spikes and some skull details that go on the skirt as well. So I'll get to try a bit of something new in crafting those kinds of pieces, but it's also still gonna have like some much more familiar like garment sewing fiber arts elements to it. I'm not gonna go too much into detail on like all my plans for the project right now, because I have a feeling this is gonna be a big video, a big project, and I'll have lots of opportunities to check in and talk about these things as I'm going through them. But what I just finished right now is creating my checklist of all the different elements that I'm going to need to put together the whole costume. It's a long list. I only have 2 weeks to finish all of this before we leave. So yes, next step is going to be thrifting, seeing what I can source there, and I'll check in with you about that, about this more later. Okay, thanks. Bye. So yesterday I just got to do my first round of taking stuff out, a little bit of cosplay shopping. We went to a few different thrift stores first because I wanted to see what we could find there before I went in and started like looking for things from craft stores. We went to Michael's and got a few things. So I just wanted to show you what I picked out yesterday. A lot of new materials and things that I haven't worked with before. So I think this is one of the first pieces of the costume that I'm gonna start working on. I got this cheesecloth gauze kind of fabric. This is gonna be for my arms. Astrid's costuming, she has like these wraps that go up the side of her arm, and so I'm gonna be using this to create part of that. I think this is like gonna work perfectly. I also picked up some more RIT dye. If you saw my last video where I was working with RIT dye, I didn't have the best experience last time, but this is a cotton gauze and I think the fabric is gonna be much more receptive to the dye than the last material I was working with. So the plan with this is just kind of to lightly dye it, give it some discoloring, and make it look a little bit more worn. I think I'm gonna end up doing a lot of distressing in general with this project. Also, as part of Astrid's little arm wrap scenario, I got this suede cord. So this is gonna be wrapped over the top of the gauze and then also up further on my arm. She also has some very similar cord around her big fur boots, and so I think that this cord is gonna be used for both of those things. So this is something I can probably finish today. Everything else is gonna be a little bit more complicated as far as what I've gotten so far. I still need to make a run to the fabric store for some pieces that I'm gonna be sewing. I got some sculpey, which I'm going to be using to make a few of the kind of armor decals. My main plan with these is to craft the skulls that Astrid has along her belt. I have worked with sculpey a little bit before. Actually, last time that I made something was for a cosplay years and years ago. I had made like a necklace out of teeth, and so I had used some sculpey to craft like the shape of the different teeth. I do like a little bit of hand building pottery here and there, but it's usually like in a classroom studio environment. So this is gonna be something a little bit different. I think this is gonna be another one of my goals for today, is getting into at least just crafting one of the skulls as a bit of a test run, see how many I'm gonna be able to make. I think ideally I want to be able to make like 6 out of this. So in my like original thoughts for this project, I was really planning on working with a lot of foam, but there just really wasn't like much to choose from at Michael's. So I got some of this, and I'm gonna try to like create what I had in mind. But the main thing that I want to create with the foam is the shoulder armor, which is one of the things I am more excited to make. I also bought some paint, which is another thing that I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to find a replacement for. I did like a little test swatch with the 2 of these paints last night. Like, it definitely is metallic, but it kind of almost has like a sparkle to it. That's just not quite the look that I want. But I think I'm gonna go to like a hardware store and try to find like a metallic spray paint. I feel like that's probably gonna be my best bet. But those are the things that I picked up for all of those kind of hand sculpted, crafted details. I am gonna make a run to the fabric store and the hardware store today to hopefully pick up the rest of everything. But aside from that, my plans for crafting today, I'm gonna work on the gauze and arm wrap. I'm gonna do at least one test skull with the sculpey. Hopefully make one like mock-up test of a shoulder plate. But that's my plan for this morning, what I'm working on. Gonna do that now. All right, thanks, bye. I just finished sculpting 2 of my little bird skulls. I made these with kind of like 2 different methods. So this is the one that I made first, and this skull I originally sculpted it with the eyes hollow, so it's a lot more lightweight. I just like glued some little foam cutouts to the eye to make it like not hollow all the way through. And then this was the second one that I made, where I sculpted it like with like a base piece of round clay, and then made like an overlayer to kind of like go over the top of the base. So this one's a bit more rounded. It also ended up being a little bit smaller. I had done my test swatch of the silver metallic paint that I got on the foam pieces, and didn't really like how it turned out. It had like almost a bit of a sparkle to it, but I feel like it looks really nice on the clay. So I think I am going to get some use out of it, thankfully, and I'm going to use it to finish doing the metal detail on all of my skulls. Maybe the spikes, which I haven't tried yet, but I used that silver paint to do like the overcoat, and then I went in with the black to add kind of all these little distressed details and just add some shadow dimension kind of. I also added like a bit of a hook to the back of both of these, just where they have like a little loop, because I am going to need to be able to attach these onto fabric. As I'm sculpting these, I just need to make sure I'm including something where I can fasten it to the other materials I'm going to be working with later. I'm either probably going to sew it on with embroidery thread or try to do some wire work with it. But that's what I got done on these. I did two just because I kind of wanted to test out these two different methods. I think I like having the clay center better. So I think this is what I'm going to do going forward. But I think I'm going to put the sculpey away for a little while and come back to it after I get through kind of figuring out what I'm going to do with the other details. But I do really like these, and I think they turned out really nicely, especially this little one. I feel like it looks so cool. I'm going to get back to work though and check in with you later. Okay. Bye. Hardware store didn't have what I needed, but I did get a couple things from the fabric store. This was like the fuzzy fabric that I could find. I need something that looks like fur to use for the boots that I'm making. There are two different tones to her boots as well, so it's like the darker fabric on the bottom, and that's the parts that's all tied up with the cord that I got. But then there's like a higher tier that has a lighter color to it. Actually, when I was at Michael's yesterday, they had a fabric that I thought really looked like that strip of fabric at the top. I didn't get it just because I knew I was going to the fabric store today and I was expecting there to be some better options than there were. So I might try to dye part of this fabric to a darker shade and then be able to use this for the top portion, even though technically I feel like this is a little bit too dark to be the top portion. But if that doesn't look good, I might just end up getting the fabric that I saw yesterday. So that's what I have for the boots. The other fabric that I picked out at the fabric store is this faux leather, which is what I'm going to be using to make her skirt. So this is what that looks like. I got just a yard of this. I haven't like fully drafted my pattern for this yet, but I feel like I know what I'm going to do with it. The skirt is actually also kind of two-tone, and so I did really want to pick out two different fabrics for this to have that contrast, but this is the only faux leather that they had. Again, they did have dark leather at Michael's when I was there yesterday, but I was holding out, assuming there would be better options at the fabric store. This was not the case. But yeah, if we want to kind of start to visualize, here's my skull pieces that I made, and here's the leather that they're gonna be going against. I'm not going to get into working like on the fabric yet. I think my priority today still is testing out like the materials that are a little bit more unfamiliar to me so that I can know if they're gonna work for this or if I need to find a replacement. I did a little bit of drafting these different shapes for the shoulder pads, so I'm gonna be using these as a template to cut my foam. It would be a little bit more shapely because it'll be held down by straps as well. But there's a lot of detail on her shoulder plates where there are like different layers, so I'm gonna be able to add like a bit of interest and shape in that way, some dimension to it. That's what I picked up. I'm gonna get back into working on this. Thanks. Bye. So I ended up using the largest template to make a shoulder pad out of the foam, and I think it looks pretty nice so far. This is going to be a little bit more curved because it's going to be held together with some straps going underneath, but this is generally kind of the shape of it. I painted it with the silver after I put like some Mod Podge over the top to just like make it a smoother surface to paint on. Went back over with some black paint, also like similar to the skulls, just to add some little detail, definition, distress. But this is just going to be the base layer, so this is the thickest foam. I have not painted these yet, but I feel like already you can see like how much more cool, interesting the shape of this is going to be once I get to add those on. And then I'm going to have to start thinking about how to attach it to some straps to be able to wear it on my body. But this is the progress that I made on that. Just thought it looked nice. Okay, cool. Good morning. So we have a heat wave going here in New York again, so I'm gonna try to keep this quick so I can turn my air conditioning back on. I spent yesterday working mostly on the shoulder armor, which was actually a lot of fun. I was feeling a little bit skeptical about the foam that I had picked out because like I said, there weren't a lot of options. So the foam that I got is really just like elementary craft level. I actually feel like it looks really nice, especially for like how cheap this was to put together. This is like 3 sheets of foam and 2 bottles of acrylic paint. But this is how the shoulder armor is looking so far. I did like a lot of maneuvering to get rid of the sparkly little specks. I think also adding like the detailing and the shading helped a lot. I added all of these little scratch marks to the front of it. And then just in like all the layers where I added these little foam adornments, I went in and added like a lot of black paint to just like make it look more shadowed. I also had these like little bolts that I've added on, which I did by taking a hole punch and like cutting out little bits of foam to glue on. So this is all just hot glue, foam, paint, and I think it looks really nice. For a first attempt, definitely not bad. I was worried I was gonna have to come back and like redo the whole thing with better material, but I really like this. The only thing missing now is I still need to add the bird skull to the very front, and then I'm also gonna be adding some spikes onto these little guys here. But yeah, that's the plan for today. Probably mostly doing some repetitive sculpting stuff, so. Okay, thanks. Bye. Okay, well, I've made a lot of progress on the armor over the past few days. I just went ahead and sewed on my little skulls for the shoulder armor, so it's in probably its final form. I might end up coming in to like switch some things up with the detailing a bit, but after adding my little clay spikes, doing some extra shading around those, I'll show you actually, like, I kind of put the shadow focused on one side to give it some, I don't know, animated looking kind of depth to it. I'm super excited about this. I have never gotten to try making armor out of foam like this before. It's been something on my mind for years and years, ever since I developed an interest in costuming and cosplay. It's just been nice. I can't wait to wear this. I'm feeling like I'm gonna have to break this up into 2 parts. I feel like I've been filming for hours and hours. And I'd rather break this up into 2 kind of like 20 to 30 minute videos than have it be something super long. So I'm gonna wrap this up here with kind of the work that I did on the hardware, the foam, the armor. I think in the next video that I'm gonna post about this, I'm gonna focus more on the fiber art side of things. So I still have a lot of sewing left to do for the skirt and the boots, and I'm gonna be doing a bit of crochet and sewing together to make her very textured, stripy top. I have a little over a week still to work on this. Still lots left to go. I'm excited to share it with you. Also to show a little bit of like getting to wear the costume out at the convention. But for now, thank you so much for watching, for hanging out with me while I work on all this stuff. If you want to keep up with me on any of my creative social things, I do Tumblr, Instagram, Pinterest. I'll link those down below. Sometimes I post a bit about my projects before I share them on here. If you made it this far in the video, please do leave a like, leave a comment. It really means the world to me, and I will see you soon. Bye. Bye.